I didn't know everybody was waiting.
All night long? No. We ready? All right. We'd like to welcome everybody out to the Harriman City Planning Commission regular meeting for this Wednesday, November 15th. We appreciate everybody being here tonight. We do have, well, I guess we'll start, actually, before I get into it, with a Pledge of Allegiance. And Sheldon will lead us in that. Thank you.
If you all don't mind standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sheldon. Appreciate that. We do have a full quorum tonight as well. I would like to ask if we've reviewed the agenda for tonight, if there's any conflicts of interest by anybody on the Planning Commission tonight. Nope. Okay. Seeing none, we do have on item 3.4 a request for approval of the minutes for our October 4th Planning Commission meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve item 3.4.
We have a motion by Heather.
Second.
Second by Adam. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, very good. Those minutes pass. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to item 4.1, which is a consideration of single-family dwelling elevations in Pod 2 of Hidden Oak subdivision. Sheldon again.
All right. Okay, this is just a request, just a review and approval of some elevations for Hidden Oaks Pod 2. So, okay. Actually, Pod 2 is located there in the Hidden Oaks area off of Harriman Main Street and Danzy Oaks. This is a 24-lot subdivision plat. So what the proposal we have here, we have 13 house plants from Gordon Mylar and 10 from Desert Homes. Basically, looking at the design requirements based off city code as vested, as required, as stated in the MDA, they have to meet, at a minimum, city design standards and the design standards that are outlined in the MDA. The design standards in the MDA are pretty vague. They just give a few examples and say just use a few of these. You know, you can pull some architectural features from these. That's basically the extent of the MDA design guideline. So we're really relying on what the vested design standards were back in 2018. I'm not going to go through all. I just added all these elevations on here, so if you guys have any questions on any of these elevations, we can address these. But I'll just go through these fairly quickly. I did speak with the applicant here just a second ago, and the base plan for the Emily base plan, that's your bottom left corner, they're going to remove that. That's one of the conditions of approval that we mentioned there. Here's kind of a sample of their finished materials. It's your culture stone, earth tone colors, and et cetera. They have a wider gamut than this. I just didn't want to put everything on there. The Desert Homes, they have 10 home elevations here. Obviously, as presented, all these homes do meet those standards, with the exception of some homes do not meet that 40% brick stone requirement. That's something that can be addressed when they submit their building permits. We can just call that out, have them add more brick to those elevations to meet those standards. As mentioned earlier, the Emily base plan was proposed. The roof pitch didn't meet our minimum standard of 512, so the applicant's just going to remove that from their proposal. That being said, we do recommend approval of these following conditions. If you guys have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer those.
Any questions for Sheldon? Okay, thank you.
And the applicant is here.
Yeah, great. If the applicant's here, would like to provide any additional comments or thoughts? You're good? Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
I have a question.
Okay, we do have one question, so
Either one.
either one, maybe both. I don't know.
So with the
Come on up.
different house styles, will you have a requirement that they have to be varied so you don't have like two of the same styles next to each other?
Yeah, so they're custom, so these are the base models. So we very, very rarely ever have built the same home twice. So there will not be any duplicates.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions? All right.
Just quickly too, Andrea, and under our vested code 2018, that is a requirement. We don't allow the same home elevations within 3 lots or across
Okay.
the street.
Thanks, Sheldon.
Good
I
to
did
know.
have one more question for you, Sheldon. Will you tell me which ones don't meet the 40%?
What was that? Sorry.
Which homes don't meet the 40% requirement?
So you can see, like this one on the right, well, it's hard to tell, like the lower sections, the wainscots.
Brighton.
This is basically me just looking at them quickly. Just I reviewed a lot of plans. I can kind of see when they're close or not close enough. But when the plans come in, we actually will pull the elevations, measure the facades, make sure they're meeting that minimum requirement.
And they have to meet the requirements from before, right?
Right, from 2018, yeah, because
Okay.
they're within an MDA.
Anything else? Andrea, you good?
So I guess I'm just wondering, like, say that someone came in today and wanted to build a home like the Brighton and do that hardy board on the whole thing and no brick or stone?
So under the 2018 PESA ordinance, there is an exception in there. They can come back to Planning Commission and ask for a reduction of that primary, the brick and stone, but they had to add compensating features, right?
Okay.
To make up
And
for
then
that
if it's not in an MDA, like I know most of our developments are, but if it wasn't, someone could come in and build it and they wouldn't have to do the brick or stone, or is,
No, they have to,
We
but there's an
still- they still have
exception,
to?
yeah, within
okay,
the older ordinance that gives them, I guess, a possibility to request a deviation from that standard.
okay, thank you.
So if that's the case, they have to come to Planning Commission to request that deviation.
So the requirements for the brick and stone only apply to the areas that are in an MDA that have these design standards. So I don't know, if you were asking if somebody came in on a lot that was not in an MDA, today we could not control,
That's what I was
we can't
wondering.
control the amount of brick or stone on it. So they could come in and do that whole hardy board on the whole building.
Okay.
But if it's in that MDA, then that MDA is tied to the design standards that it was approved under in 2018.
I think it's 2018, yeah.
Would that apply to homes that are say something was built in like 2000 and they wanted to redo the exterior? Could they do that? I know that's a little off topic, but
Yeah, that might be a question for legal, but I think that they would still be, as long as that MDA is in place, they would still have to
Meet
comply
that
with those
requirement.
standards. So they
Okay.
couldn't come out, they couldn't strip all the brick off and replace it with something without meeting the
Something else.
requirements that they were initially under.
Good question, because we're getting some of those homes reaching that age that may need to redo their outside. Yeah. Very good. All right, is there any other questions or discussion on this item? If not, I can entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve item 4.1, consideration of single-family dwelling elevation in Pod 2 of Hidden Oaks subdivision.
With the three
Oh,
recommendations.
yeah, with the 3 recommendations.
Okay, we have a motion by Brody
I'll second.
and a second by Heather. We'll do a roll call vote. Brody?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Daryl?
Yes.
Andrea?
yes.
All right, that motion passes. We'll move on to item 4.2, which is consideration of a phasing plan for the Martin Ranch subdivision. Clint has got this one.
Okay. So this subdivision's been looked at several times by the city. Most recently, just last year, they were granted an extension to complete or to record the subdivision within a 2-year period, which I think ends on, I want to say the 18th of August, 2024. So this is a subject where the property is. We're looking at a little closer view. This is the site plan that's been drawn up, the subdivision that's gotten approval. So we're not here to look at the subdivision layout necessarily, just the phasing plan that they have proposed. Again, this is the approved plat, and the applicant has come in now and wants to do this subdivision in 3 separate phases. Phase 1 will take place as soon as possible after the property is closed on, and then it's my understanding that Phase 1 and Phase 2 will be done either together or within a few months of each other. And then Phase 3 will be done, maybe when the market gets better or within the near future, though. Again, here's the, kind of the background information that we've walked through already. They are still working through the final engineering process for the construction plans of the subdivision. So as a phased plan, the ordinance does allow for phasing with site plans, which this can be considered. And so they just needed to show, so in the phase plan, they show the different phases, but they didn't break down a specific time when these phases would be completed. In a conversation I had with the applicant, I believe that the timelines that we've outlined below will work with what they're trying to accomplish. This first phase, so they'll be closing on the property mid-next year sometime. And with those 3 lots, it should be fairly simple to get those lots in a final subdivision process, get them through and get them recorded, which will help vest the rest of the development for future development. And then recording the next phase by January 1st, 2025, and then completing the final phase by January 2026. They are here, so they can probably speak to those timelines if they'd like to, but that was our only recommendation of approval. So
Okay.
that being said, if there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer what I can.
Yeah. Any questions for Clint?
I don't have any.
Okay, thank you. If the applicant's here, like propose anything more? If not, we'll just, yeah. Anything more you'd like to discuss or provide to us, please? Provide that to us.
Nothing really different. I just wanted to confirm the timing's pretty accurate.
Oh,
on his thing,
yeah.
so thank you.
Good.
Yeah, the goal would be to be able to hit that August 4th, 2023, or 4 extension deadline is the
Okay.
idea. So.
Could you just state your name for the
My
record?
name is
please?
Austin Richards.
Thank
with
you,
Alpine
Austin.
Homes.
Appreciate that. All right, any questions or other discussion? Seems
I
pretty
assume,
straightforward.
so with the phasing, there's a parcel A that's a retention. I assume engineering's okay with that being just coming in phase 2, not phase 1?
Yeah, I believe so. We've looked at that. Josh?
No rush.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Good question.
The reason why phase 1's not contributing any stormwater out of it, that road's already all built, so
Yeah,
it's
those
not.
3 houses.
Yeah, yep, so it's not
Makes
doing
sense.
anything. When those new roads come in, that's when we'll be worried about it.
Perfect.
Man, that was like an engineering question. Good job.
I know.
Yeah. All right, seeing no discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item 4.2 with staff's 4 recommendations.
I'll second.
Motion by Adam, a second by Brody. We'll call for a vote. Andrea?
Yes.
Daryl?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Brody?
Yes.
And that item passes. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 4.3, which is consideration of a conditional use permit to develop a commercial site plan in the Harriman Office Plaza.
Okay, this is a request for a multi-use development up off of Rosecrest and Marabella. This is Lot 2 of the Summer Sports Complex, so one hit right here on the corner. Lot 2 there. So the proposal is a 14,000 square foot office pad. This building itself will about 7,500 square feet per level. The top level will be your office space, retail space. The lower level is going to be all dedicated to parking, 27 parking stalls below there. The building itself is 32 feet tall. And again, the uses it's going to house is office, medical services, retail, fast food, just a combination of uses in that particular building. In pad 2, that's more of just a kind of like a restaurant, general restaurant, drive-through a pad there, just a structure there. It's 2,600 square feet, about 17 feet tall. As I mentioned, what they're proposing is a fast food drive-through with either a fast food or retail on the northern end there. Parking, per city standards, they're required to have 70 stalls. They're providing 79. 27 of those, as I mentioned, are underground parking. 52 are surface parking.
While you're there, before you jump off that, I drove by this area on Saturday, and the adjacent sports complex of the building, it was packed, right? And there was parking all over on the street, a lot of things happening that way. Has this been looked at together with that to kind of compare? It does say only 70 stalls required, but it looks like the existing is already underparked.
Right, no,
you know.
and that was anticipated at the beginning with the sports complex.
Okay.
And part of that approval, they were required to do cross-access and cross-parking
Okay.
agreements. Now, I know it sounds like if they're already running into parking situations, depending on, I guess, the operational hours here, we may run into some issues there, I guess. And that's something I didn't really dive in too far. My assumption is
But they are meeting the parking.
Yeah, most of the activities at the summer complex usually happen early in the morning or later in the evening.
Or on the weekends, apparently, on a
weekends,
Saturday.
yeah,
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
so.
No, I just noticed that. So as long as we're meeting the parking requirements, things like that. So I'm glad to see that at least there's 9 more stalls as well. That'll get 9 vehicles
Right.
off the street
They
as
actually
well,
have a few more,
hopefully,
but
so,
we have landscaping requirements, so.
yeah. Okay. Sorry, continue. Thanks.
Is the driveway on the
Yeah, I guess I'll bring
west
that up.
side,
Yeah,
is
so,
that meant for a common driveway for that adjacent lot? And,
so the drive approach that comes off of Rose Crest, is that what you're
Yeah.
referring to? So that only gives access to the parking garage only. It doesn't give them access into the interior of the lot. The access to the surface parking is going to be off of Marabella, and that's a shared egress for that site with an access agreement,
who
cross-access
owns
agreement
that
across it.
driveway right now? Who owns that land right now?
Same
The
one.
adjacent
Merrill's-
land,
I'm sorry?
the adjacent lot, or the lot we're talking about?
The adjacent lot to the west. You're talking about, whoops.
Nope, yeah, right there. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the Summer Sports Complex. That drive approach you see there off of Marabella, that's a shared drive access with an access easement across there for both lots. That will provide access to the surface parking and all that stuff. Other than, like I mentioned before, the access off of Rose Crest will be only for the underground parking.
Underground Park, which you said was 27 stalls?
27 stalls.
27 stalls on there.
Yeah, I noticed the dumpster enclosure overhanging the driveway, so I didn't know if that was a,
Yeah, and that's one of the conditions of approval as well, is that it's encroaching onto the adjacent property. So this builder here, the applicant will have to get permission from the adjacent property owner to do that work and cut that asphalt on his property.
Yep, there
I
it
don't
is.
foresee that being an issue. I've talked to the applicant, so. Again, the proposal, here's the elevations. This is for the office pad. Finished materials are brick, stucco, dark bronze. Majority of the buildings exceeds 60% on all elevations is brick and stone, so that's something good to see. Again, here's somewhat of a rendering here. There's more in the packet. This is the small retail pad. Again, here's your elevations, primary all brick elevations on these. Again, here's a rendering of that.
Donuts, let's do it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. And the landscaping plan they're providing does meet our minimum requirements. However, there's a few issues we need to address, and I'll address those here in a second. So again, a few things we look at when we put forward our findings, C2 development standards are meeting, MDA design standards. So it falls in the Rose Crest, and their design standards for commercial just refer to whatever current city ordinance there is. Again, conditional use standards, they do meet those standards. Engineering reviewed that. They did have some concerns with the stormwater management. They need to see a few more things. They don't foresee it affecting the site plan at all, so they were comfortable going ahead and moving forward with that at that point. Again, we have a few trees in the clear view on the corner here that need to be adjusted to get those out of the clear view. And this upper corner, this upper section here, it's kind of a unique situation because they had to kind of raise the grade of the site, and then the property where the church is, that's already has a retaining wall. So there's kind of like a pretty steep change of grade on that corner there. So if we can get some landscaping there, that's what we're going to shoot for. If not, then we'll probably just be rock. But as they said, they do meet that requirement, and there is a landscape border along that site anyways. We'd just like to see some additional landscaping if we could get that in there.
And no other requirement for a fencing since the fence is already there on the church property. as
That's
well,
correct,
right?
and they're both
Yeah.
commercial uses, so there's
Yeah,
actually
so
no
that's true.
requirement. So,
Okay, good point.
yep. And just to wrap it up, staff does recommend approval with the following conditions.
Excellent.
You guys have any questions for me?
Sheldon, or any questions for Sheldon? Okay, thank you.
The
We'll
applicant's
invite the applicant to come up if there's anything additional they'd like to provide.
Oh, actually, I do have one last thing for Sheldon.
Sorry.
Should have asked this question. Did we talk about safe walking around with the school or anything like that?
So I know Rose Crest Lane, the sidewalk along Marabella and Rose Crest are safe walk sidewalks. I think that's what they're called.
Yeah.
I know engineering didn't have any concerns with what they're providing. I'm assuming it's probably a 5-foot sidewalk at that point. And that's all, I believe that sidewalk's already installed, it's already existing.
I was gonna say, I think it's, yeah, there's sidewalk already.
Yeah, there's sidewalk. I was just more with the garage access. It's just limited
Oh.
view coming out of the garage. That's all I.
Gotcha.
The rest I'm not worried about. It was just related to the garage. Just if
Yes, I guess a
engineering
good-
had thought
so
about
I
that.
guess, would we want to see maybe a crosswalk across there or something, or?
Just some attention right there since, and maybe I can ask the applicant, but just who's using the parking? I would assume the building, the people, not,
That would be my assumption. I'm assuming they're probably reserved parking. I don't know. Yeah.
so just more that kind of question. If it's a lot of patrons, then that's, I guess, more where the concern
Well,
would be.
unfortunately, if you look at this right now, it looks like the driveway, there is a lot of setback from the building to the crossing of the sidewalk, so sight distance may not be an issue
Yeah, the garage,
on
yeah,
this one.
the entrance to the garage sits back
Yeah,
25 feet or so from the actual back of sidewalk.
yeah, you're meeting your view triangles like
But the
Jackson
concern is
said.
people turning in,
I more just meant if you had people trying to turn in there with schools being let out, kind of, that's
Pick up their
more-
kids there.
Exactly.
Oh,
quite honestly, I'm not sure if they pack that shoulder when school gets out or not with cars, do you know, or?
That I do not, I just know
south on Rosecrest, they do.
that
Yeah.
all of Rosecrest is rough right there. So that's all I was going to say.
Well, I also have a question. So where you have the triangle clear site, was a consideration made of maybe bubbling out that sidewalk to help with that crossing?
So the clear view, that just falls, it's an engineering standard, and it's measured from back of street, pretty back of curb.
Back to sidewalk, yeah.
So regardless where they put the sidewalk, I guess, is that the concern
When you
with
say
the clear
bubble
view is
out,
more?
are you meaning pull in bring in the sidewalk, curb around the sidewalk to tighten it up a little bit?
No, I'm saying pop the sidewalk into the road a little more to, you know how you bubble out for
Like a
pedestrians?
bulb out?
Like a bulb out?
Yeah. I'm wondering if that's a consideration that,
I don't know if they have enough room, because then you have to push all the trees in.
Right. And
And then the
main concern with
driveway,
clear
the
view, too,
slope of the
that's-
driveway and
that's-
stuff to get it all tie in.
It's more just making sure there's enough around the building with mirrors and stuff that's more what I was trying to address.
Right, and the clear view on that corner is more for vehicular access, not necessarily pedestrian access, just to make sure when
Right.
they pull up that light, they could see
Yep.
any oncoming traffic.
If it's not patron parking, that's a whole different discussion. So
Yeah.
That's more what I'm trying to talk about.
Probably don't have any approved tenants yet, and tenants could change as well, so depending. Also. Please, come forward, yeah. Provide any additional information. Maybe you've heard our discussion, obviously, and any insight you want to provide.
Greg Stephenson, architect.
Thank you, Greg.
So the plan is, we actually have a roll-up gate that'll be kind of like key carded, so that it is just for the leasees.
Answered my question. Thank you.
Patients are going to come in for the dental clinic that's already signed on. They're up at the main level, same height as the basketball court. And we tried to line it up as best we could with the egress out of the school across the street from us too, so that we weren't having conflicts with people trying to turn. If you need us to put a sign that it's right turn only to minimize that impact, during certain times of the day, we could put something up like that, if that would be amenable.
I was more just curious how you're going to avoid people from turning in there,
Yeah.
thinking that they can get around. That was more what I was curious about. But if you're going to put a gate there, then I don't see an issue.
Is it a gate or is it a?
It's a coil door.
Coil door on the building, not a gate at the, so hopefully they'll see that and recognize that it's not
And
just
that
a
way it
free-for-all.
provides security too.
Yep.
In the evenings, we can just close it up.
Nice.
Thanks for not building a church right there.
Yeah, go ahead, Tara.
Are you concerned about parents parking in your parking lot and sending their kids over there to pick up?
If they want to park, I'm sure we'll be okay, because they'll be probably using some of our facilities. Like the donut shop, which is actually kind of a dirty soda shop as well. So we figure we'll get lots of parents that'll be lined up.
Waiting for their kids getting a drink and a donut.
Get them all hyped up on sugar to go play basketball.
Good marketing.
So.
And then go to the dentist to get them fixed.
And yeah, the uses, a third of the building is, 8 to 5. So, and the dental clinic is not open on Saturdays, Sundays. So I think that's, the majority is more in the evenings for the basketball. And yeah, we have a shared parking agreement.
You don't run the basketball side of it, and that's a separate, is that part of yours as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you noticed that then with the parking too, a lot of, which is good and bad. I mean, it's good that there's a high demand for it, but yeah, hopefully we can help take care of it with this as well. So that'll be great.
So the driveway coming into the building's parking, is it at grade? Is it going down into a?
It's relatively flat. And it's going from street up maybe 6 to 10 inches.
Yeah,
So there's no berms or anything to, again, block that view for sight lines coming out. But yeah, if we need to adjust where tree locations are to,
Yeah, and that was the root
minimize
of my
it.
question, yep.
sure.
Well, and I like your pedestrian flow too, access. Yeah, well done.
Do you have other tenants besides the dentist and the donut?
No, not at the time. I know that they have a couple of NOIs, but I don't know who they are.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, that's great. Good to see this lot developed.
We're excited about
I've been
this
here for
project.
20 years and have, yeah, it's been empty, so.
It's not going to
nice
be a
to see.
church.
Yeah.
Adam.
Okay, any other questions for the applicant? Thank you, appreciate your time. All right. Any discussion?
I just like the mixed use. It's great.
It appears to meet all the requirements.
Meets the requirements, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do just want to say that if we could bubble out that sidewalk, it's, a lot of studies show just simply bubbling that out makes it a much safer walkway. And given that it's right across the street from a school on that corner, that might not be a bad idea if engineering would.
I just don't know how you do it since it's up matching the road.
Yeah.
Is what I would imagine engineering saying.
Bulb belts work well at crosswalks.
Yeah.
Where this is not a crosswalk.
Yeah. Are you following the conversation here?
So when you say bubble out, you mean shift it to the east?
I mean popping that, you know how you, on a corner, it can kind of bubble out for pedestrian use?
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? So on that corner right there, where the red triangle is, you bubble it out a little bit to enable the walking.
So you're talking about like a chicane into the road?
Yeah, bubbling it a little.
Yeah, you got-
Bubbling it a little into the road.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, you
We'll
know,
let
I'm
you
not
handle it.
really worried about it.
Yeah.
There is a good, like, I'll call it a landing there between the building and the sidewalk. I know of some situations downtown, the Gateway, when you come out of that parking garage, that sidewalk is like right against the building, and it feels unsafe when you come out of there.
What
I've
is,
been out of there a
real
few
quick
times.
with that, what is that driveway width though too? I mean, it's probably 25 foot or, I
Don't
don't
know
know.
offhand.
But anyhow, if you start narrowing that up, now you got traffic issues, getting cars in and out of there as well.
Left and stuff.
Yeah,
People
if you
turn
get,
right there.
yeah, and coming in, you really, there's requirements for your driveway. You start narrowing that up in any way, it starts affecting the flow of traffic too.
Is there going to be a crosswalk there?
24?
The driveway's 24
Yeah, see, that's
feet
2
wide.
lanes, that's all you get.
So-
You start taking any more of that, that's problematic.
At the limit.
Yeah, that's already at the minimum. And I think with the rolling gate that he mentioned that's on the building itself, you're not gonna have a lot of traffic there. Most of it's gonna come in probably before school hours through, hopefully, and leave after school hours.
And as soon as someone's parking there, they're gonna fix it. They're gonna have some signage, because if that's all of the workers, they're gonna have to go home, so.
Yeah, yep,
It'll be addressed.
yep. Thank you.
See, I'll make a motion to recommend approval with staff recommendations.
Okay, got a motion by Jackson,
I'll second it.
second by Darrell. Go ahead and call for a vote. We'll start with Jackson.
Yes.
I'm gonna switch it up here, see if you guys are on your toes. Darrell.
Yes.
Andrea.
Yes.
Heather.
Yes.
Adam.
Yes.
And Brody.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes. Thank you. Appreciate you being here. All right, we'll move on to 4.4. Lauren, before we do, just real quick, this item is up for a public hearing, so I will just read the requirements for our public comment policy and procedure. The purpose of public comment is to allow citizens to address items on the agenda. Citizens requesting to address the commission will be asked to complete a written comment form and present to the deputy city recorder. In general, the chair will allow an individual 3 minutes to address the commission. A spokesperson recognized as representing a group in attendance may be allowed up to 5 minutes, and this policy also applies to all public hearings. Lauren. We'll move on to item 4.4, consideration preliminary plat for the J&J commercial subdivision.
apologies for not writing subdivision on this after J&J commercial, but that is what we will be looking at today. So we're looking up near the entrance into our city, coming over just, what direction are we facing? Towards the Come and Go across the street. So we're looking at this commercial zone right here. Right across Rosecrest, that purple area is where the Come and Go currently is, just to help you orient yourself a little bit. So we are looking at 2.253 acres, and it is that C2 zone. The interest of the applicant is to split this into 2 different lots. We'll have one that is over an acre still, and then one that is just under. We recommend approval, and our following conditions are just working with everybody, and then dedicating a park strip on the sidewalk that is along the top of this image. We have already talked to the applicant about this, and they are willing to work with us on that, so.
Very good. So just quick, just want to make sure, this is item 4.4. This is just the plat. You're going to do another presentation for item 4.5 after we're done with this item. So I just want to make sure clear, this particular item is just on the plat.
That is
So let's
correct.
focus on the plat now, and then we can talk about the site plan on the next item. So any questions on the plat for Lauren?
Is there any issues with, I guess, driveways coming in and out? It being that close to the...
That's a site plan discussion, but yeah, we can
yeah,
talk about
sorry.
that. Yeah.
I
We
would
can-
say the only thing which is kind of site plan is ingress egress easements. I don't see any of that on this. So crossing
It's a
between the
sanitary
two.
sewer easement, but yeah.
So that would be my only question, is at least being able to
Cross,
address
yep,
cross
sure.
easement for traffic.
There's a note on the plat regarding
We're just zoomed in too
cross-access
much?
between the two. Yeah.
Okay.
We had the same concern, so, yep.
That's all I would do.
Perfect. Good question.
I can't really read that. Does that say sidewalk easement up against Rosecrest?
Yes, sidewalk easement.
So have we ever done that before, a sidewalk easement?
Is that
So that,
Is that what that says?
yeah, the idea there, so with the recommendation that we have to provide additional dedication to provide the park strip and the sidewalk, that sidewalk easement will actually go away, and then the entire sidewalk and the entire park strip will just be we dedicate as part of the right-of-way.
The easement was there first, and we're just getting rid of it,
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
so the easement was there because a sliver of the sidewalk was gonna be in their property, but as they dedicate more property for that park strip and sidewalk, then that will come out.
Right.
The easement will go away, and it would just become part of the right-of-way.
Oh. Surveyor, good question. Anything else? This plat. All right. We'll go ahead and allow the applicant, if they want to, I don't know if the applicant's here, if they want to provide any additional information or not. If not, that's okay as well. All right, with that being said, as I mentioned, this is open for a public hearing, so I'll go ahead and open up this item for public hearing comments at this time. If anyone would like to provide a comment, please come forward. Seeing no comments, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Adam,
I'll second.
second by Heather. All in favor? Aye. Go ahead and close the public hearing at this time. Any discussion by the Planning Commission?
Nope, looks good.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Make sense?
Yep, I'll make a motion for item 4.4 to approve with staff's 2 recommendations.
All right. Motion by Heather,
I'll second it.
second by Adam. Call for a vote. Brody?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Daryl?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
All right, that motion passes. Very good. We'll move on to item 4.5, which is now a consideration for the site plan for Lot 2 of this subdivision that was just approved.
Okay, so we've gotten into kind of where this project is and everything, so I'll just get into the weeds of the site plan itself. So this is the basic layout here. So they're proposing a just over 3,000 square foot building, possibly with 3 tenants, or it could be occupied by 1 tenant. It'll just be a shell finish, and then as tenants come in, they'll they'll complete the building as is. Just over 22 feet tall. The material that they're proposing is brick, and then there is some metal siding that they're proposing, and we'll discuss that in a minute. The parking stalls and the landscape are both adequate as well with our zoning ordinance. So again, the first thing we're looking at here in our standards is building materials. So we're looking at building materials, engineering standards, and then the trash receptacles. So it's a great looking building. We have nothing against that, but the proposed material where they have the metal siding, that still is not an approvable material under our current zoning standards. So we're just requesting that they change that material out to something that is, whether it be a cement board or stucco or whatever the case might be, as much as it pains me to say stucco. But some sort of material that will be equally as durable and still provide them with the look that they're going after. Also, in terms of brick coverage on the rear elevation, which is the one at the very bottom, they're not showing the appropriate amount of bricks. It's not showing 60%. I think that they were just under that. So they would, when they resubmitted their elevations to the city, they would need to show that material did comply with the 60% brick or stone requirement. And as you can see on both of the sides, they're providing some pergolas for outside dining, which is great. But those pergolas meet the windows at kind of an awkward spot. So our recommendation is that those pergolas, that the roof be, or the under portion of the roof, the ceiling height, be completely above those mirrors so they don't obstruct the light coming into the mirrors into the building, or into the windows into the building. As another part of the elevations, we don't have dumpster elevations shown, so we're just recommending that those be provided and that they match the brick material of the existing building. And then we talked about this already, but just providing dedication for the park strips and sidewalk on this corner here. As we looked at it from a staff's perspective, you can see, so the green is the width of the park strip that would be provided, and then that gray color is the sidewalk width. Doing that, they could still meet a reduced setback of 15 feet and not have to really even change their site at all, which we recommend approving. One of the conditions with that would be that whenever we reduce that setback from 20 feet to 15, we have a 2-foot berm. In speaking with the applicant, it doesn't sound like they can provide that because of the grading of the property will be a little bit higher. So if the berm can't be required, then we're recommending that, or if the berm can't be provided, then we would recommend that an evergreen hedge or something like that be planted along the top side of that
On the back side
slope.
of the sidewalk.
Yeah. So no, so it backs up against their side.
Oh, against their side.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the drive will be 4 feet taller than the sidewalk there. So those evergreen shrubs or hedges or whatever will be planted up above on that next to their drive to obscure lights and stuff from going into the traffic next to it. So, right. Again, this is just, adjusting the site plan to accommodate the sidewalk and park strip as recommended. So, that being said, if there's any other questions, I'd be glad to answer what I can.
So I swear we've let others, maybe it's residential, but do metal. I think one of the things we talked about was just the gauge of the metal that we were unsure as far as being a good material to use in a commercial space.
Yeah, when we had that discussion a little while ago, there was a few things. We talked about the gauge, we talked about fasteners, and some different elements. In that vein, we are moving that ordinance forward, or we're trying to.
Yeah.
We've gone through some final revisions, and we're looking at those, and Sheldon will be bringing those before you probably in the next couple of months, so that we can approve these types of materials going forward. I guess another condition of approval would be, if the applicant wanted to wait for that ordinance to be codified and put in the books, and they could move forward with the elevations that they're proposing now. If they didn't want to wait and they wanted to construct the building sooner than, the 6 months or whatever period of time that will take to get through the city council, then they can move forward with another material that does meet standards.
Yeah, I just bring that up because for me, I mean, personally, I like the metal material, and so that's just something I want to bring up because maybe we're close and they can.
And they
say-
can't come to us with a variance on the current code then because.
What's that?
They can't come to us with a variance on that because it's not even.
Yeah,
Okay.
this wouldn't qualify as a variance or
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
There's certain variances built in if it was like a grocery store or something like that, that they could,
Gotcha.
over 20,000 square feet, I think that applies to them, but.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. If that is
Yeah.
something they might want to do, is we're close to getting something like that approved.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, I would agree with what you're saying. I think the material that they've chosen, that there's a lot of metal siding that is very attractive. It'll be durable,
Yeah.
probably more durable than stucco or something
Yeah.
like that, so.
Okay.
Any other questions for Clint? Okay, thank you. All right. The applicant like to come forward? I actually have a couple questions for the applicant, so please come on forward. Introduce yourself, and if you'd like to provide any additional information before we have a couple questions for you.
Alex Winder. You want my address too?
No, that's fine,
Okay.
Alex. Great. Anything more you want to provide, or any other thoughts?
No, just I guess if the metal was close, we would possibly wait. I don't know.
Yeah.
It depends how far out it is.
Yeah. So I guess I have a question on the lot's 4 foot higher than the adjacent grade. Out there now, I'm just curious as to the reason why it's being raised.
I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Because if we go back a couple slides too, right there's fine. We've got the sidewalk that's going to be coming up off from the adjacent road there on Main Street. If you're 4 feet higher, your sidewalk coming up there, I don't know if that's meeting ADA requirements as well. If you're already 4 feet, that's a pretty steep climb for the sidewalk as well. Do we know what the grade is or anything of that nature on that either?
I don't. I don't know if they have.
Okay.
They might have the plans, but I'm not
Was there
sure.
a topo plat?
I don't know if that was in there or not. I guess it could look.
Why wasn't there a sidewalk on, maybe I missed something, but on that last drawing, there was no sidewalk going to the north?
To the east of the building, you mean? On the north side going to the
No,
east?
along the public right-of-way.
No, that's part of what they're requiring with the Park Strip sidewalk easement.
Gotcha. Still
They're adding
confused
that.
on that.
Yeah, confused on that. There's no
Rosecrest.
connection, but I was just curious. Because that's the only pedestrian connection from Main Street or Rosecrest Road to get into the property as well.
So that will be looked at during the building permit process. We'll look at the grades for that pedestrian access. That is a requirement for building code, that they have to comply with ADA. So
Okay.
if it doesn't comply, then they'll need to mitigate that and make it.
Yeah, I guess my mitigation would be is get this as low as you can. Why build it
Yeah,
up?
if
There-
I don't know why it would
If
be
there's
built
not a
up too
driving
much.
reason for it.
Yeah, there's not a driving reason. Right now, it's already, if you look at it, it looks like it's actually below
My guess
the
is,
existing grade a little bit too, but whatever we can do to
I'm not seeing
to
where
not
the s-
raise that.
I'm not seeing where the storm drain is. That's why I'm guessing it's raised.
Well, we don't have the contours.
You think it's a
I bet you
buried
there's a
storm drain?
buried storm drain and they're trying to hide it.
Underground storage, storm drain?
That's what
I think by raising that and creating you said 4 feet and 15 feet?
So that's,
A 4 to
yeah, and
1.
this is information I got from, in an email from the applicant's engineer. When we were requesting that the extra property be dedicated, they said they could accommodate that, and then just made me aware of the situation that, the grading was gonna be a little bit
Yeah.
higher. They didn't specify why, I imagine.
I
I
do.
could see that grading in the contours. There is a little bit of a grading plan here, and you can see that with the contours, but,
I think the grading is an issue just from lights
There's not as
along
much
those
here.
two major roads,
Yeah.
from traffic inside that. I know you're
Agreed.
trying to mitigate it with the berm on one side, but
Retention right
I'm just talking about all around there.
it's
I mean,
already
it's gonna be right in the driver's eyes as you're going around the proposed building. I think we
Agreed.
I think we really do need to maybe have that piece addressed before we can make a decision on this, because it
The packet does have
does seem
a
like it's gonna be
contour
this
map.
high.
It does have contours.
it does have contours, and it does show an elevation, but can we add another recommendation that we'll approve it, but we I don't like coming up 4 feet for this,
Yeah, I
especially
don't-
with the sidewalk and
I
everything
don't
out
care
there.
for that. You know, at a 4-to-1, it's hard to maintain.
Yeah.
It seems like it's introducing problems when problems didn't exist.
Right.
The one thing-
Anyhow, sorry, we ought to,
I think it
let's
ties in
let
with
the
this other
applicant, if you have any questions for the applicant, then we can have a discussion first.
Thing
So,
to be aware of, and maybe before the applicant is dismissed, but.
Yeah.
So this is not a conditional use request. This is so the use is a permitted use.
Okay.
So the only reason this is coming before the commission is because, so it's the commission's responsibility to ensure that the current city ordinances are being upheld, right?
Okay.
So under a conditional use, we could look at other impacts that the site is having and say, okay, we're going to throw in all these mitigating factors. Under this situation, we're not able to do that because it
it's
is a permitted use.
Permitted use, it's under an acre.
It's under an acre, exactly.
Because it's
and the
so it's
use is
permitted.
So all we can do
They'll
is
just
say
have to
that,
meet
yes,
code.
this does, as proposed, this does comply with the ordinance.
Okay.
I think there's some excellent recommendations that we can make to help the site, you know, for impacts that we think will happen and, you know.
Okay, do we have any other questions then for Mr. Winder, and then we'll let him, oh, yeah.
I was just looking at the grading plan. It's basically, the building's basically the same height as the sidewalk.
Really?
On the south sidewalk over there on Main, so, I mean, there's no issue with ADA at all.
What was I, because I was looking at the contours we got here.
Actually, it
Contour,
drops
it's
from-
just, it's
The-
because
the-
Oh,
they're keeping it flat with this axis, and so it drops.
maybe
on the other
it's,
side.
maybe I'm looking at this wrong. Maybe that's actually depressed there, because they're not labeled.
Yeah,
Maybe
the
these are
tie-in,
is
That
this
would
your
make sense.
retention? That's probably what that is then. I'm looking at this
Yeah.
wrong. I'm seeing some contours
so
here.
there is a underground retention system
Yeah.
there on the front of the building.
Okay.
But the tie-in to the sidewalk there to the south is 85.51, and the tie-in to the building is 85.39, so it's,
What's the height difference between Rosecrest
Yeah,
Road
yeah, Rosecrest now.
and around where the curb is by that retention basin? I can see that. Do you see what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to say if the car's up here, is this Rosecrest Road? You know, that elevation difference. That's the only thing I can't tell. Because to me, that would be, we could recommend more planting just to minimize
It almost looks like Rosecrest. is
view and
climbing.
disruption of
Rosecrest.
the
Or Harriman Main Street's
southbound eye level.
Herman Main Street climbed to the west, but
That I know we could
is it
do.
climbing to the?
so it does go up about 4 feet over there from like the TBC on Rosecrest to the edge of the parking lot.
About 4 feet. So I mean, that is almost like directly in the drive path.
So I do like the idea of hedges or something like that to
Right, so,
mitigate headlights.
That's really
so under city
interesting.
ordinances, I mean, the reduction of that 15-foot berm, of that 20-foot berm to 15 feet does require the 2-foot berm for,
Right.
to obstruct, you know, lights and stuff like that. So under that,
that's
guys,
what
we
it
could
is.
also, you know, where,
Because it's sloping.
we could apply other standards, you know, additional planting or whatever the case might be to still
there's-
meet the intent of
Yeah.
that 2-foot berm, what it's designed.
I think it's a
Six,
great
it's a 2-foot.
project. I think it's a great location. I just worry about as you are going around the front of this project and heading towards that planting that's circled in the right, your headlights are directly in the eyes of the Rosecrest Road southbound traffic.
If it
That's
really is
stopping.
4 feet high, but apparently what we're hearing though, it's not.
No, he actually just said 4 feet high.
It's 4 feet high from Rosecrest. On the
That TBC.
south side, it's
That is so
even.
weird.
It's because of it's coming around and it's trying to dive right there. So it's almost creating almost a little super right there.
North side here is where it's 4 feet.
It doesn't look like it would be that way, but it's because they're keeping it,
Because
they're trying to
yeah.
keep it flat up on the top. So it's raising the bottom.
All right.
It's not to try to tie into the adjoining property behind it.
It definitely is not doing that. The next builder is going to have a heck of a time trying to get an
Oh, it
access
actually
in.
ties in pretty good right here.
Yeah, we'd be fine with adding more shrubs, if that helps.
Do you own both? Just so I know, just curious.
Bowler Development does right now, yeah.
It's just something that I'm worried it will limit your ability of the northern, the parcel that will be to the north will be very limited because it's going to have no Gonna have integral sidewalk. If I understand that right, is it not?
They'll have park strip there as well. So that park strip and sidewalk dedication will run in front of both of those lots.
Gotcha.
And Ensign's doing design for both of them, so.
But there is no sidewalk connecting this to the church. Because there should be.
The church to the north?
Church to the extreme
Right
north.
now, the sidewalk ends at the corner.
Church has-
It doesn't extend north.
The church has sidewalk, because I know my
Right.
kids walk it, so. But then it stops and goes weeds till you
Yeah,
cross
there is no sidewalk
this intersection.
till you
Are you
get.
saying where the north?
Just go to an aerial, back, whoever's running it, back it up to an overall view. You can see it,
Right there.
right there.
That whole frontage along Rosecrest Road, the sidewalk you can see ends at the corner.
So
It
the
does not
church-
extend north.
Ends right, it's barely in the screen,
Yeah.
right there.
Right by the
And there's a
utility.
sidewalk at the church.
There's a sidewalk that stops,
Well, I think it goes
is there
in
no
front of that.
and then
property
technically
there,
it
right
goes
there.
in front of the utility
Yep.
place, which we required.
Yep.
There's an elementary.
But
And
there's
then
a-
eventually, just want to make sure, there will be a sidewalk all the way, correct? Don't care.
Well, yeah.
Eventually, there will be a sidewalk. Okay.
Well, it looks
That's
like
when you're
there's
going to get the sidewalk, is with lot 2?
adjacent to Lot 2. You'll get the sidewalk with Lot 1.
Lot 2 is the north of that yellow.
Oh,
And unfortunately, then there'll still be a gap because
I
there's.
still think we should always tie it to the subdivision, but we already did it, so.
Yeah,
Oh, well.
because there's still going to be a gap when they do, Lot 2 does come in. There'll still be that gap on that vacant property.
Well.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Alex, thank you. Appreciate your time. Well, you're standing up there and we're just talking away. So it sounds like it's not a conditional use. Again, we're here for, I guess, do we really need to approve anything then? if
We
it-
do. We need to
just-
put in an additional berm or landscaping.
And that's the whole
along
reason for it.
Rosecrest Road.
Yeah, so condition number 9 covers that.
2-foot berm.
2-foot
berm on
berm,
street adjacent
street adjacent landscaping.
You can just
you're right.
specify where
Or the evergreen hedge or something, or a solid, I would include like a solid evergreen hedge
Yeah.
with a minimum height of 3 feet at the top of the slope.
The top of the slope, okay. All right, I can do it.
I have a,
You have a
just,
question? Go
just a
ahead.
quick thought on it
Yep.
from my part. I don't know if the pergolas need to be adjusted.
You're okay with them being
I'm okay with the pergolas where they're at. So,
in
if-
front of the windows?
yeah. It allows light in above the pergolas, so. So I think, it could be a recommendation, they review pergolas, but they don't have to remove them. Probably how I'd say it.
So that's our purview if we agree as a commission. This is a recommendation by the,
I don't like
By
them through the window,
staff, but,
Jackson. I think that's like a preference, but I don't.
you don't, sorry, say that again?
I personally like them adjusted, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, it
But
allows light in above the
I was going to say,
pergola,
you move the pergolas up, you're not going to prohibit, it is going to keep light from coming in. It's actually doing the opposite of what we were
We could
thinking.
recommend they make sure it's doing what they want, but
Yeah.
it's up to them.
Yeah, the pergolas, I mean, they let light through, so,
Well, to a point, depending on the time of year and the angle.
yeah.
There.
And the amount of
I guess,
tread on top of
I
the
guess what I'm
pergola.
saying, I don't really care about the height, if it's taller or
Right,
shorter.
right. No, I can see your point.
I kind of like staff's recommendation, but that's just my opinion.
Well, we can, if we don't like the motion, we can establish a second. If-
All right, I'll go for it.
Go for it.
I'd like to recommend approval of, item 4.5 with staff's 10 recommendations with an alteration to number 9 to say a 2-foot berm for the street adjacent landscaping plus an additional 3-foot,
Or,
no, let me finish.
Okay.
Plus an additional 3-foot on 53-foot hedge or berm along 5600 to protect from light encroachment on 5600 to the traffic And we'll let staff review what makes sense for that.
We have a motion by Adam,
I'll second that.
second by Brody. Call for a vote. Brody,
Yes.
Adam,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Daryl,
Yes.
Andrea.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes. All right. Thank you. Any comments from any member of the commission at this time?
I mean, just with the issue at hand with the materials of using metal as an approved material, if we
Yep.
could get that sooner pushed up, I think from a commercial usage, we're going to see more of it. So we don't have to keep saying no to something that makes sense.
Agreed.
Yep,
Any other thoughts?
agreed.
Yeah, good. Future meetings, let's have a quick discussion here. So next, or in 2 weeks, we were supposed to have a joint Planning Commission City Council meeting. That has been canceled. Our next Planning Commission is on Wednesday, December 6th. The one after that will be on the 20th. Just a quick roll call. I will not be here on the 6th. I don't know. I heard some others were going to be out as well. You'll be here on the 6th?
I
I'll be
am
here.
out on the 6th.
You're out on the 6th, so
Not on
somebody,
the 6th, too.
so 3 of them will be out on the 6th. So Andrea, good luck, get ready.
Can we make
We'll
that
get
motion
somebody
now?
else.
Can we make that now?
She may not show up if you do that. You may need to fold a quorum. So there, 3 of us is what I'm hearing, won't be here. So we could still have a quorum.
We'll still be okay.
Okay, perfect. And then on December 20th, I think would be the next one. Is there any concerns with meeting that one? I'll be here for that one. That's getting closer to Christmas, but doesn't sound like any concerns on that one. Okay, perfect. So sounds like no issues there. And then city council meeting on Wednesday, December 13th. They're not meeting, next week's Thanksgiving. Of course, they're not meeting next Wednesday. Hence their work session today that kicked us out of the meeting. Very good. All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Adam, all in favor?